Today we are going to learn how to factor quadratic equations. So if you remember, you can solve quadratic equations in your calculator, yes? What did you have to set it equal to? 0. Very good. But the problem is that you can't solve a quadratic equation by hand unless it is factored into parentheses. So we're basically working backwards from FOIL. So we take two parentheses and we do FOIL to get this type of equation, yes? We're going to put them back into parentheses today. Does that make sense? And I'm going to teach you what is called the X method. The X method is just a strategy on how to do it. The X, it basically just places numbers in different spots to tell you where things go and how to do it. Today, you're going to be learning the X method, and by the time you get the hang of it, it becomes very, very, very easy. But of course, anything that's new takes time. Now, in high school, you're going to take Algebra 2, and you're going to do this again, and they also use the X method, so I want to make sure we're all doing it the same. Now, at the top, this is just kind of to help you understand, but if you have a quadratic and they're both plus signs, then in your parentheses, they're both going to be plus signs. If you have a quadratic and the first sign is a minus sign and the second sign is a plus sign, then it's going to be two minus signs. And the reason is do y'all remember when you do first, outer, inner, last? When you do this number times this number, two negatives make a positive, but adding two negatives in the middle is the only way to get that minus sign right there. And so that's why this works. All right, when you have a quadratic and the first sign is an addition sign and the second sign is a minus sign, then you're going to have two opposite signs. And the same thing goes when they're both minus signs, you're going to have two opposite signs. And it doesn't matter which order it's in. It could be a minus and then a plus. It's just two opposite signs. Because the only way to get a negative on the last term is to do a positive times a negative. If you understand the X method, you really don't need to know this, but this is a really good way to eliminate answer choices and just know that if you factor these, it has to be a plus plus and so forth. Everybody good? Okay, the X method. The first thing you need to know, and guys, I'm telling you, pay attention. The first thing you need to know is how a quadratic is written in basic form. AX squared plus BX plus C. So the first term is called the A. So when you hear me say A, that's what I'm talking about. Yes? The second term is called the B, and the third term is called the C. Now, they don't all have to be there, because if B had a value of 0, 0 times X is 0. So the A is the one that always has the X squared. The B always just has an X, and the C is always just a regular number. Make sense? Okay. The X method says this. Take A and multiply it by C and put it in the top part of your X. Right here. This is A times C. That's a multiplication sign. And then take the number that's for the B and put it down here. Everybody good? Right. All you're doing right now is just organizing your information. So you take A times C and you put it here. And today the A is always going to have a value of 1. But I need y'all to understand, because it won't always, that you multiply A times C. Everybody good? All right. Once you do that, you are looking for what factors of A times C add up to this number. And I will explain. So let's go do our first example so that I can explain. Does everybody understand if I wrote AX squared plus BX plus C, that the A here has a value of 1 and the C has a value of? So in this first part of the X, you're doing A times C. So what is 1 times 18? 18. And that's what's going to go there. And then in this part of the X, we just put the value of B. So what does B have a value of? Okay, so now what your job is to find factors of 18. So what times what will give me 18 and add up to give me 11. So let's go through the factors of 18. 1 times 18 is 18. Do y'all agree? But does 1 plus 18 add up to 11? No. So I go on to my next one. What's another factor of 18? 2 times 9. 2 times 9 is 18. Does 2 plus 9 add up to 11? So that will be what's going to go in my parentheses. Okay? So right here, what you're going to do is you're going to take these two numbers that work and you're going to put them over A. So this number 2 is going to go over A. Well, what was our A value? 1. So it's going to be 2 over 1. And this one's value was 9. So 9 over 1. And you have finished your problem. Now all you have to do is organize it. So your final answer is going to be parentheses, like x plus something, x plus something. And the way that you're going to remember this is bottoms up, okay? The bottom number is going to go with the x right here. So that's going to be 1x plus, and then the top number goes last, 2. Okay, bottoms up, 1x plus, the top number goes last, 9. And this is the factored form of this problem. So if I did FOIL on this, I'm going to get this. Okay, so let's try it. Y'all don't have to write this down if you don't want to. First, what's 1x times 1x? X squared, yes. Plus, outer, what's 1x plus 9? 9x. Inner, 2x, and last, 18. Does that give me a value of this? Okay. Now again, I know it's confusing. You have to do it multiple times to be able to understand what you're doing, so don't get frustrated if you're confused. Let's go through another one. The first thing you're going to do is multiply A times C and put it here. Some of us are zoned out and we need to pay attention. So if you need to, write it ax squared plus bx plus c. And what goes in this one? A times c, yes? What is 1 times 2? So that's my number here. And in this box, what do we write? The b. What is b? 3. Does everybody understand this part and this part? The next part, how do I get these two numbers? I ask myself, what are the factors of 2 that add up to give me 3? So I just go through and write down the factors. What times what is 2? Well, 1 times 2 is 2. Do y'all agree? If I add these together, do they give me 3? Yes. Then that's my answer. And these boxes, and these little parts of the square, you put these numbers over A. And again, today A will always be 1 because we start off with the easiest quadratics, but we've got to get in the habit of putting them over 1 or we won't understand how to do the hard ones, okay? So what goes here is your answer over A, your answer over A. Okay, so here I have 1 over A. Well, what is A? 1. And here I have 2 over A. What is A? 1. And these right here are my answers that go in my parentheses. So you put your parentheses, bottoms up. So the bottom number goes first, so 1x plus the top number, plus 1. Bottoms up, so what's going to go first? 1x plus the top number, which is 2. And that's it. I have factored that problem. Okay, turn the page. I'm going to give you a minute to see how far you can get doing it on your own. And this one, of course, you can flip back and refer to the first page. All right, let's see how far y'all got. Did everybody get this part? Which is A times C, which is 1 times 10, which is, and what goes here? Okay, any questions there? Did y'all get further than that? What is the next question you ask yourself? What factors of 10 add up to give me 7? So I just start with my factors. I know that 1 times 10 is 10, but 1 plus 10 will not give me 7. So I move on. I say, okay, 2 times 5 is 10. Will 2 plus 5 give me 7? So that's going to be my answer. But I must put them over A. I have to put them over A. Because in a few days, we're going to do hard ones, and we're going to have to simplify those fractions because A will not be 1. A will be 2 or 3 or 4. Make sense? So don't just write 2 and 5. You must put it over A. So 2 over 1 and 5 over 1. And these are your answers. So I take my parentheses and I do bottoms up. So the bottom number goes first with the X plus 2. Bottom number goes first with the X plus the top number of 5. Who was able to get all the way through it? Awesome. Some of us are close. Okay. It does not matter. This one could go here and this one could go here because when you FOIL it, it will give you the same answer. Okay, let's try the next one on your own. Did you have a question?
I had the 5 and the 2 swap. Like I had like the 5 times 2 instead of the 2 times 5.
So remember, bottoms up. Bottom number goes first. Any questions? How did we do? Did we get the final answer correct? And again, you could have 1x plus 7 first. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This one's going to be slightly different because our b term is a negative. So let's look at how that's going to affect it. So we're still going to do everything the same. I'm going to do a times c to get this number. So 1 times 8 is 8, and my b term is negative 6. So I am looking for factors of 8 that will add up to give me negative 6. So I'm obviously going to need a negative times a, because I got to get this, factors of this. This is a positive 8. So a negative times a negative will give me a positive 8, and a negative plus a negative will give me a negative. Are we good? All right. I know negative 1 times negative 8 will give me positive 8, but negative 1 plus negative 8 is not negative 6. I know negative 2 times negative 4 will give me positive 8, and negative 2 plus negative 4 will give me negative 6. Everybody good? All right, so I have negative 2 over a, and I have negative 4 over a, and there's my answer. Okay, bottoms up. This goes first, 1x minus 2. Bottoms up, 1x minus 4. Could you check your answers by doing FOIL? Yes, so you could go FOIL this and make sure it gives you this. Instead of x, what should I put? Yeah, because the variable was in. It really doesn't matter, but I'm going to make it look right. So I have n. All right, would y'all like to try this one on your own? This one's a little different, isn't it? You're looking for factors of negative 15 that add up to positive 2. Well, factors of negative 15, to get a negative, you're going to have to multiply a negative times a positive. Okay, let's talk about the factoring part. I know that 1 times 15 will give me 15, and I could put a negative with one of those, yes? But I know it doesn't matter which one I put a negative with. If I add it up, it's never going to give me a value of 2. So I said, I know 3 times 5 will give me 15, and I can put a negative with the 3 or a negative with the 5, yes? But if I want to add these, one of them has to be a negative and get a positive number, then the negative has to go with the smaller number. Yes? 5 plus negative 3 is positive 2. So I have negative 3 over a, and a is 1. And I have 5 over a, and a is 1. Bottoms up, so 1x minus 3 and 1x plus 5. Did we do okay? Yes? Okay, we're going to skip these two. We're going to go do this one. I should see everybody on the very back page doing this one. Okay, let's look at your strategy. The first thing you did was A times C, which is negative 20, because 1 times negative 20 is negative 20, and the B is 1. Then I said, okay, 1 times 20 will give me 20, but there's no way, it doesn't matter which one I put a negative on, that they're going to add up to positive 1. Then I said 2 times 10 is 20, and it doesn't matter which one I put a negative on, it's never going to add up to 1. 4 times 5 is 20, and these would add up to 1. Do y'all agree? Since 1 is positive, the 5 needs to stay positive, and the 4 will get the negative sign. Because 5 plus negative 4 is positive 1. All right, so I have negative 4 over A. A is 1. And I have 5 over A. A is 1. Bottoms up, 1x minus 4 and 1x plus 5. Okay, this is the last one you're going to try on your own. Oh, yeah, this one. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. How did we do? Good? If you are not sure of yourself, you should be checking your answers by doing FOIL. Okay? Now, the last part, on your assignment, if it says solve, you are absolutely allowed to solve in your calculator. So, write that down. I am fine with you using your, but I am going to teach you, of course, how to do them by hand. But anytime it says solve, I am okay with you doing that in your calculator. Okay, let's look at it. Anytime we want to solve a quadratic, it has to be set equal to. So the first thing I have to do is move this 18 over here. How would I move that 18? So I have x squared plus 3x minus 18 equals 0. Now, why would I want to factor this? Because these will give me my answer, right? If I set them equal to 0. So the first thing I need to do is say, okay, A times C is negative 18, and B is 3. All right, I have 1 times 18 is 18, but that's not going to add up to be 3. I have 2 times 6. Will that add up to be 3? Yes or no? No. 2 times 9, that's what I meant to write. I got ahead of myself. 2 times 9 is 18, but that will not add up to be 3. And then I have 3 times 6. I was putting that in my head. Will 3 times 6 ever equal 3 if I put a negative sign with one of them? Yes. Now, which one is going to get the negative if this is positive? The smaller value. So this is it, and these are not. So I have negative 3 over A and 6 over A, which is 1. Bottoms up, 1x minus 3 and 1x plus 6. Now, that is my factored form, but did it ask me to factor it or did it ask me to solve it? So to solve it, I have to set each of these parentheses equal to 0. So if I move this, so if I have 1x minus 3 equals 0, what would the answer be if I move that negative 3 over? Positive 3. So x equals positive 3. What would this one be if I set it equal to 0? Negative 6. And that is how you use factoring to solve a quadratic. Now, again, on your assignment today, I am perfectly fine with once you get it set equal to 0, going to y equals, typing in x squared plus 3x minus 18, putting in 0 for your second part. My windows are set way too big. Going to second trace option 5, and there's my two answers. So my first one I want to see, I'll do this one. Enter, enter, enter. X equals 3. Did I get it right? Yep. Second trace option 5. Let's go to the other one. Enter, enter, enter. X equals -6. So I did get them right. But on the assignment, you don't even have to factor. You can just use your calculator. Okay? All right, let me pass out the assignment. Okay, on your assignment, there's only a front side. You are going to do 1 through 26. The top part, 1 through 16, are the only ones you have to factor. And if you notice, on this page, I put the big X method for you. So all you'll have to do is transfer your answer over here. So for number 1, you're doing, and if you want, you can unstaple it. That way you have your stuff. Okay, so I'm doing t squared plus 8t plus 12. This is going to be number 1 for me. I'm doing 1 times 12 to give me this a times c, and then b is going here. So I'm looking for factors of 12 that add up to equal 8. I know 1 times 12 is 12, but there's no way that would give me 8. I know 2 times 6 is 12. Would those add up to give me 8? So that's got to be the ones I'm going to use. And then I take these two numbers and put them over A. So 2 over A. A has a value of 1, and 6 over A. Bottoms up. That's the biggest part people mess up on, right? So this goes first, 1x plus 2 and 1x plus 6. And guys, just to let y'all know, it's going to be 1x on everything today because we're doing very easy ones. So that should be always 1x today. And then all you got to do is come over here and write your answer. 1x plus 2 and 1x plus 6. And that will be your answer. Questions? At the bottom, what does it say? So can you just put them in your calculator? Yes, but they must be set equal to, so make sure they're set equal to 0 before you put them in your calculator. Everybody good? All right, get busy.